Welcome to ChuggieBets. Andy's a loser, so it's just Matt, Danny, Sunshine, and Al. We're going to give you some March Madness recap here as we get into Final Four. And we're going to think about what Sunshine should be cooking up for his Final Four feast. But before we do that, let's chug a beer. Cheers.
Who's ready to chug some beers and make some bad gambling picks? Welcome to ChuggieBets.
So I have a serious question before we get going. Do I start off with Modelo or High Noon? I only have two.
Low.
All right, you guys are smart.
High Noon's too spicy to chug.
Oh, not to chug, but as my next drink.
I got you.
Beer before liquor, you've never been sicker, so we're playing this game for you, bud.
Yeah, there we go. Let's get weird.
The Coors Banquet bottle cans are like way too easy to chug.
The aluminum bottle cans are the best, especially the wide ones. I don't like the wide neck. Skinny neck bullshit.
Yeah, skinny butt light bullshit.
That girthy chode boy, that's the one you want.
Oh yeah,
this guy right here.
The Coors Banquet
fits perfectly in a tall boy Yeti koozie.
Are these the exact same can, Danny? Just like
I think it's the same can, yeah.
It's the same exact company, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Miller Coors?
Miller Coors.
Oh, hey. Wow.
But Bud Light uses that pencil dick bottle. I don't care for that one. That really long tall bottle.
So
need some girth.
Most important here, Sonny Boy, what's on the menu? What are we thinking?
No, so I'm in a bit of a situation here. So over the course of this weekend, as I was cheering on Miami, getting way too drunk for a team that's not mine, in true fashion. I just told people that if Miami went to the Final Four, that I would buy a keg and do a cookout at my house, right? So I did buy the keg. And I had full intentions to do it, but here's the thing: like, I don't do butts under 13 hours is like the shortest that I do, right? So it's overnight, and it's supposed to rain from like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Dude, you can't do it. You can't do it.
So then on top of
the game's not 9. The game's not till 9.
Just
have a late dinner.
Get an outdoor tent and put it over it.
Well, it brings me to my next thing. We all have kids. Like, who's gonna be here to drink this beer and eat this butt if the first game's at 6 and everybody's at home putting their kids down at 7:30?
I'm gonna eat your butt.
I eat butt all the time.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation.
Yeah,
so,
you gotta do like a noon start, and you just gotta hope people make it to the games.
So
I'm
gonna have a shameful admission here with my pork butt. So first off, you only really get the smoke flavor in for the first 5 to 6 hours.
Mommy, that's probably twice as long. Also.
Yeah. So I finished mine in the oven. It's steadier temperature.
If we're talking about smoking butts and you want to cheat, the easiest way is to cut it into smaller pieces and then rub it all and then smoke it in smaller pieces. Rub the butts.
So I started on the smoker, and then I'll put it in the oven for a little while, and then I don't actually finish it there. I finish it, and then I finish it in the slow cooker.
Oh wow!
You finish on the butt.
So
it's like a 3-step process when I do a butt.
Chris, did you buy the butt already, or are you just looking to cook any pork?
No. So the keg is the only thing that's already been purchased.
Okay.
Priorities.
So the food can be adjusted.
So I'm gonna be real. It depends on how many people are showing up for this thing. But if it were me and I was doing it this weekend and I already had a keg, I would for sure be starting the festivities the day before. And then the next day is let's finish the keg and watch some basketball. But I mean, if you're getting 10 plus people or a dozen people who are like us and are actually going to pound some beers, then you might be good on a single day.
So here's my thought is that I do it exactly how I would have planned it, like being daytime and stuff where the kids can play in the backyard and such. It's just like I just send everybody home with butt to eat.
Yeah.
Road butt.
Road butt. I mean, is that classless?
So
it doesn't get my dishes and shit dirty. It's like
that's not classless. That's class E.
Dude, unless I'm making ribs, I'm sending everybody home with food.
Tupperware.
Ribs are hard when you're doing a big group.
Oh no! I can do ribs in a bit.
They also don't pack well if you're gonna send people home with it.
Ribs.
Yeah.
Oh,
I never make enough ribs, and there's never any left over.
I'm not gonna.
My grill's not big. The bones take up too much space on the grill, and like you can't stack them. So you either have to do 2 rounds, and it takes 6 hours.
You absolutely can stack them. You need to buy one of those like rib stacker deals.
I have quite a few rib stackers. I think I can make this work, and like I'll probably do some kind of like I got to work orange into the base, right? Because all my chugs were like, I got my orange.
Yeah, those were fun.
Chris,
that was a good idea.
If you're not married to the idea of barbecuing the pork, you can make a lechon, and you can make it in the oven. I know that's like, if any Cuban listeners are out there, they're probably stabbing me right now, but you can make it in the oven for 6 hours. It's incredibly Miami.
This motherfucker's in lechon in the oven.
It's a pork shoulder in 6 hours, and it comes out.
Most people make them.
Really?
People are not people are marrying a pig every.
What I was gonna say is you make a whole meal themed on the 4 teams. So you do some Connecticut, like what the fuck does Connecticut do? They do pizza really well, right? So you do pizza.
They do.
Money.
You could do queso for San Diego and put it on a Cuban sandwich for Miami, and then just make it really expensive for Boca.
Just charge a lot.
Charge a cover, yeah.
Oh man. Oh, and I'm really
Boca's
excited.
got some good steakhouses.
Yeah. So what I'm calling for is what I really want
Seafood
is a Miami FAU final, and I want it to be called the Battle of the Beach.
I think I'd come if that happens.
Do you really want that outcome? So say Miami wins. I don't think you want to play FAU. I don't think there's any circumstance where you're happy playing FAU, because that is a bad look to lose to FAU. Not for any reason, just for being local in South Florida.
I do think whoever wins the UConn-Miami game is going to win the championship.
No, San Diego State's better than Miami too. Miami's the worst team. Miami's the worst team left in the.
I think Miami has proved they're better than they say that, and you're only saying they're bad is because you're a true fan.
People be hating on Miami.
No, we have the best offense. We definitely have the best offense, but we're so unbalanced on defense that makes us the worst team that's left. Because the other 3 teams are both. I mean, this isn't like I thought we were a really good team coming in. Like I said that we were going to make the Sweet 16. Like I was not picking us to beat Indiana or whatever, but I like we're a very, very good basketball team. I'm not saying this to insult Miami, right? I'm just saying UConn. Al said that they were like one of the best teams in it to begin. Like you keep talking about their Ken Pom offensive, defensive ratings, right? They were one of the best teams in it. You're not surprised they're in the Final Four.
Right.
San Diego State, we know, has one of the best defenses in the country. We've been betting on them all year.
Yeah,
right?
I think San Diego State just had a bad draw, and they still came out ahead.
They've been fine with the draw. Seems like they've been okay.
Yeah, they've made it.
They
FAU.
were going to have to beat Bama in the second round, and then they went and beat Bama in the second round. Like,
we didn't expect this out of FAU, but they haven't lost much this year. They've only lost 3 games this entire year, and their stats look good.
I mean, nobody had FAU in the Final Four, right? But obviously. I would say that I don't think they're that much farther than where it's reasonable to have expected them. I don't think it's crazy to have thought they'd make the Elite 8.
Their Ken Pom numbers are better than Miami's if you look at both sides.
But yeah, I mean, Final Four is pretty crazy. It's crazy. It's the wildest tournament I can remember in years. Probably ever, obviously, since this is the first time there hasn't even been a 1 seed in the Elite 8.
Yeah,
and
this
no
has
1s or 2s in the Final Four.
This is the reason you have the tournament. Right? It's not like college football playoffs. It's here's 4 teams that are in there every year. You got San Diego State, this got to be their first Final Four, right? Or maybe they did it in like the 50s. Or 60s.
Yeah, it's everyone's first Final Four except UConn.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? And you got a 5 seed, a pair of 5 seeds, and a 9 with a 4. That's great.
Also, is there a bigger like wet blanket argument, quote unquote argument, than this is why tournaments don't matter because none of the good teams made it this far.
No.
Like eat my ass. That's the whole point of a tournament is that anyone can win. You got to go out there and beat the team you're up against.
No, it's just a better argument for like why the regular season also matters. Like the regular season championship is also a trophy that we should care about.
Agreed.
Because
Yeah,
like
but it's also less important to me.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but like how like we think about it in soccer, like there's the Premier League championship and then like the playoff championship, which is really the Champions League, right? That's the playoff tournament that you play after you win your Premier League. So I think that we should really think about our American sports a little bit more like that. Where like you win the regular season, that's winning the regular season. That's like winning the Premier League, and then when you win the postseason tournament, that's winning the postseason tournament. And that's another thing that you won.
Yeah, it's like winning the division. It's like having a division champs banner. It's like, yes, that's important, but it's important because it gets you a spot in the thing that actually matters.
The division championship banner doesn't really mean shit to me, but like in baseball, it does actually matter more. Like being the best team in baseball does actually carry a little bit more weight. Like having the best record, people care about that.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
I just saw someone like football to that the other day, and I was like, I hate this like whole thought that like if FAU wins the whole thing, does that mean like the whole tournament's pointless? It's like no, it's like fucking awesome.
So in football, there's so few games that like it's basically the whole thing's a tournament, right? So like you make the playoffs and then there's only one game each, so the whole thing's basically a tournament. And then in basketball, every playoff round is a series, so it's not really like a tournament style thing. So the championship matters more. So I think that's why we don't really think of the regular season as in those sports, and like we only care about the one championship. But baseball, like I think we do in baseball, we do think the regular season champion matters. The World Series is obviously the one thing that matters more, but I think we do care about that.
I think if I asked you like, could you name the past 5 World Series champions versus the past 5 like AL champs? Like I would think.
I think of I can't do it. But I can name like the best records, the teams that had the best records a couple of times. Like that Mariners team that had the best record, a couple of the Yankees teams that had the best record. Yeah, those were some teams that were really good, and they often didn't go on to win it all. Like in hockey, it's like a kiss of death to have the best record. Like the Panthers were one of the best teams.
President's Cup. They have a whole separate award for it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I mean, in MLS they have one too. It's the Shield.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still trying to be a better MLS fan.
You're doing great, buddy.
Thanks. Thanks.
I will say that of the teams that have made it this far, I think Miami's had to have had the hardest path. Drake was a tough matchup, and then you had Indiana, Houston, and Texas to get there. If you want to compare the FAU side of Memphis, which is a challenging game, then Fairleigh Dickinson, Tennessee, and Kansas State. I mean, I guess they had an okay path, but Memphis
and Tennessee are like the tougher ones, right? But
we played the highest seed in every round that could come to us, right?
Yeah.
Like there were no upsets that came to Miami. We played the highest seed in every round that we could play.
I mean, I think playing a 16 seed in the second round like automatically disqualifies you from
when you were supposed to play a 1
topic.
Yeah.
Because San Diego State played Furman in the second round. They played Charleston and Furman. And then they played Alabama, which is tough. But Creighton is also, don't get it twisted, made it the Elite Eight, an unbelievably skilled offensive team, but they can't play defense worth a damn.
It's almost like they don't try. Even watching them play, it's like they're not even trying to get back sometimes.
No.
They're just like, we're going to hit another 3. You guys can have this too. We're going to hit another 3 before.
And
I think that I think that Miami had the tougher tournament schedule.
I mean,
beating out Houston and Texas, that says it all.
I mean, UConn's had Iona, St. Mary's, and Gonzaga. Those were the 3 matchups they had.
And Arkansas.
Oh, sorry.
We also were
Arkansas,
seated lower than we should have been. I mean, we won the ACC, and we were seated lower than
Yeah.
Virginia.
Regular season, not the tournament, not the
Yeah.
ACC tournament.
But I tell you, hey, what did I
Talking
say?
about
But Virginia didn't win the
We're not
ACC
talking about
tournament
the
either.
tournament.
No,
What
I
did I say?
was just messing around. You guys are talking about
Yeah.
how the regular
Yeah,
season.
I know.
You
Don't
gotta
explain the
get
joke,
that. You gotta
Oh,
get
it's
that
like-
last loss in before the tournament starts. That was Miami's deal. Now they're in the Final Four.
I agree with that. You don't want to win the tournament going into the tournament. You
Right.
emphasize the wrong tournament. Being the regular season ACC
Good
champion
callback, Al. Good
way
callback,
way doper than being the ACC tournament champion.
Yeah, regular
Alright,
season matters more.
So we
for
think
sure.
Miami FAU would be the most fun championship game. Right?
I mean, for us, we're in Florida. I mean,
yeah.
Look, UConn's the best team
yeah, they
of
are.
all before, right? That's easy to say.
Also, shout out to Nova Southeastern Division II basketball champions. With South Florida basketball hotbed right now.
So you know what's awesome? That represents all 3 counties that are considered South Florida. Finally, Broward's represented with Nova Southeastern winning the D2 tournament, March Madness, more madness. Good for South Florida. Everyone knows us as a basketball area, basketball town. South Florida's a basketball town now. Done it.
Miami stopped being good at football, so the athletes all started doing something else.
Yeah, they did. I think the national media would want to watch FAU. FAU playing San Diego State, I don't think anyone really cares that much about either. And I think everyone in the world wants to watch the Cinderella get there. For the UConn-Miami game, I think that's just an interesting toss-up. I think people have fallen in love with the Miami team. They are the most likable team in the tournament. I don't think FAU's particularly likable. From that guy dunking with 5 seconds left to when he had a runaway game and he shouldn't have dunked and everyone's yelling at him to the post game.
Well, he didn't make the dunk.
He did make. Oh yeah, he missed the dunk, but that makes it worse. Actually, going for
No, he changed his mind at the last minute. Matt, come on.
It was intentional.
Glass half full.
So I think that just for storylines, UConn has to win to be in it because you have to have a Cinderella against a big, a Goliath. It has to be a good David versus Goliath, and UConn is the only one that can sort of qualify as a Goliath. If you just have David versus David, nobody gives a shit. And then it's going to be like, oh, what's this shitty game with Miami versus FAU or Miami versus San Diego State? UConn has to be in it.
It would be the funniest thing to see in TV ratings. It's like the whole nation just goes dark and it's just one state watching.
God, can you imagine how annoying Miami fans would be if that was the case? Like, oh, now that Miami's in the championship game, nobody cares about it. Like, I can just hear it already.
Actually, Miami draws fans, so people would probably watch if Miami gets in. But I think for like the overall national storyline, UConn needs to be in it. So that whoever the other comes from the other side.
Yeah, I think UConn. If UConn is in it, then either team that makes it to play them is going to be an interesting matchup. That people like the majority of people are going to want to tune into. I think if Miami makes it, it's like, oh, you have like the Florida versus Florida like angle, or you have like 2 teams with no history and like no one really cares about playing. I don't know. Basically,
what I'm saying is if Norm Chad O'Meara goes over the back and the guy undercuts him, they're going to foul Norm Chad out on that play instead of changing the call to giving the other guy a foul.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad they did that. I was about to lose it.
I was so mad. There were so many bad calls in that game against us. Like if they let that one stand, I was gonna flip a chair over.
Yeah.
It was.
Was there a more important play in the game than Norm Chad O'Meara Hayukin Marcus Carr in the leg? And Marcus Carr was not the same afterwards, their best player. I know it was an accident, but he full force, it? Hit him right in the hip bone, and you could see him afterwards. The dude's huge. Well, relatively big.
When that play happened, I was like, it's a live ball. He's watching the ball. Like, I'm almost like, is that, like, how do you determine which guy to call that foul on? But then I was like, it's
the one who kneed the other guy, not the guy who was just standing there, the one who did the knee.
They were not standing. He was not standing. They were both in midair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
You don't need to jump with your knees out, full speed forward. But it was a huge part of the game. And ever since that, You could see Marcus Carr was never the same, and Miami picked it up. I was worried about a bet I had because Miami looked like they were down and out with like 12 or 13 minutes left, and that last 13 minutes was just pure sex. It was cocaine and sex, which is tough to do. But
yeah,
it was
I don't know. So which of these is crazier? The fact that Miami outscored Texas 37-17 in the last 12 and a half minutes, or that they outscored Texas 15-6 in the last, I think, minute and a half.
I don't know, man.
15-6 the last minute and a half.
That was foul shots, though.
Yeah,
Texas missed everything, and we just made our foul shots.
Jordan
we made
Miller,
all our foul shots.
Jordan Miller, Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
Made everything.
I think I remember one missed free throw out of the last, 8 that we took.
It was one of the last free throws. It was a guy that hadn't shot any yet.
And and in my head, I was like, all it's got to do is make one of these, and then he missed the front end. I was like, come on, make this other one, I can be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out that, in those last 2 games that Miami played, which, was about the time I jumped on the bandwagon. I mean, I've always been a supporter due to you two, but, that's when I felt like you really needed my support. Like, you guys really played well.
Seriously, that Houston.
Yeah, y'all beat a Houston and a Texas team. Neither of those are people to fuck with.
The crazy thing is Houston didn't miss a shot for the first 12 minutes of that game. They made fucking everything. And
Texas in the first part of the second half. Texas was making literally every shot they put up in the second half, and I was like, they were 8 of 10, and they were all 3-pointers through the first 7 minutes of the second half. We were 5 of 7. We were playing great, but they were just getting.
We did not shoot any threes either. I was like, I don't know if I love or hate this strategy.
It was their defensive strategy. So they were guarding the 3-point line like crazy, and it was leaving lanes open. So that's what we took.
You played 8 seconds or less basketball. You would run someone straight to the hoop, full speed ahead, and either get a foul or get the bucket. It was beautiful. It was a great. Larrañaga has done a masterful job coaching during this stretch because Miami has not won a single game in the same fashion as the previous game. Shot the lights out of the gym against Indiana. Shut it down. Move to a different strategy. Yesterday was everything. They shot 65% in the first half from the field, and they were down by 8. It's crazy. It was a fucking crazy performance.
Texas's coach basically came out and said, we're not going to let them shoot any threes. So they were guarding all the way out like we were Steph Curry, guarding us all the way out to the half court. Peck Peck isn't going to shoot those when he's got 2 guys on him, He's 6 feet tall. So and Texas has really good perimeter defense. I mean, Carr is not just great offensively; he's really, really good defensively as well. So,
when you have a team that makes an unexpectedly deep tournament run, it's almost always because they've got one guy. And that one guy is just playing lights out and so much better than the guy he's matched up against, and he's a real difference maker. And Miami doesn't have one guy. They've got 5 guys. 5 different guys that can be that guy. So it's it's crazy that it keeps happening, but it's also it's not that crazy.
It's been that way all year.
Any one of those guys can do it any night. So all you got to do is find out which guy is that guy. And yesterday it was Jordan Miller.
Yeah, I mean, Wong wasn't bad yesterday either.
Yeah, Wong disappears for halves, but he also has other halves that make up for the disappeared half. Nigel Pack can knock down threes. Omir hasn't really had a great game, where he stands out.
Didn't he have 20 points yesterday? 25 points?
No, I know that's the thing. Is it's hard to say even Jordan Miller is the guy who got all the press, but all the guys, every starter went for double figures. So.
And you want to know the craziest part? That game was great. It wasn't the craziest game of the day. The last 20 seconds of the San Diego State crazy.
Oh, it's nuts.
Okay,
God, we were picking up the kids from grandma's house, and I was so pissed off.
Open question to everyone who watched it. Is that a foul? Did San Diego State get fouled with 1 second left in a tied game?
So, I mean, it goes back to that debate everybody always has. If it's a foul during the rest of the game, it's a foul at the end, right? And it is a foul during the rest of the game, but I wasn't paying close enough attention during the whole game on how they were calling it to know whether or not they should have called that foul there. But no, I don't think they should have.
without having seen it, which obviously huge caveat, but from what I've heard, it sounded like it's not the kind of call they were calling all game. It was very ticky-tack, even though it like technically is a foul. So it sounds like a shitty time to blow the whistle when the game's on the line.
It was there was contact. There was contact.
I thought it was a foul when I watched it live because you could see the guy had his hand wrapped around him. It wasn't affecting the shooting hands. That's what everyone was looking at, but he did have his arm like leaning on him. And when the San Diego State player landed, he was off balance because of the push, right? Like because the weight was leaning on him. So I do think it's a foul. It just was a shitty time to call the foul. And if you're an over better, it was the worst time to call the foul.
It's also a really bad time if you're on Creighton too.
The worst.
So the best way I could describe the way I feel about that call is if that call goes against my team, I don't think it's a foul. But if that call goes for my team, it was definitely a foul.
Clearly a foul.
Yeah, you're like, it was the right call.
Yeah, that's how I would feel about it. But because it was another team, then I'm like, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And I think the guy, I forgot the point guard's name, but he made the right play. He tried to get the three. The three wasn't there, and the Creighton defender overcommitted so much that he got past him. And the only thing you could do is grab onto him a little bit. But I don't think everyone's more mad at it than I think they should be. I think they probably got it right. Just a shitty time for that call to go down.
I'm watching it right now, and I'm not a basketball expert, but I watch a good bit. That's a foul.
That's a foul, right? It's always a foul.
Hey, send me the link, Sonny, because I feel like oftentimes in college basketball, I'm like, all these fouls are bullshit. And they're way too ticky-tack. But I'm wrong, and I don't know the rules.
So
But I'm like, if I were the king of basketball, that wouldn't be a foul. Thank you, bud.
Yeah, they showed it a million times, so I don't need to watch it again. But they could not call that game. A lot of times, a lot of contact at the end, and they don't call it. Like that's often taking shitty jumpers in a tie game at the end for shit like that.
Yeah, I agree. I get it. Charles Barkley was big mad after the game. But I think they made the right call. The last 1.5 seconds was crazier. Was also crazy. Them trying to get the ball and the guy steps over the line out of bounds. They don't call it as he's throwing the ball down the court. Somehow there's time on the clock, and then they just ended the game. I didn't understand what happened. The last 20 minutes was like
that was a bad pass.
Was a Lewis Carroll novel through the looking glass. I felt so confused. There was a lot going on that none of it made sense.
Oh, I didn't because I had the under. And there was no way for that game anymore. So,
but that's all I got for that game. I don't know if you have anything else to add on.
All right, one word. Who's winning the whole thing?
UConn.
Sunshine, who you got?
It's UConn. But it's painful to say that after eating all those oranges.
Unanimous, so I can't have it be unanimous, so I'll say
Miami wins it all.
This
all right.
guy.
If you say Miami, then I'll say San Diego State. Let's give the other half of the bracket a shot here, even though I already said.
All right. Then I'm going to choose FAU. I'm taking FAU so far.
All right, well, we can't have all four represented. That's too democratic. I'm going to switch back.
No. I mean, we'll shoot Andy a text and see, which team he thinks, and that's kind of the decider.
It's going to be
all right. If we can't have all four represented, then I'll take Texas.
Kentucky.
Purdue.
There was another game I do want to talk about, the FAU Kansas State game, right? We've been talking over the last couple of weeks, big supporters at FAU, and they've done it. What a miraculous season for a program that really is an upstart as far as being in big-time college basketball. And they fucking kicked ass this year. Let's not get it twisted. 34-3. I think they won 34 games. It's the first time. If they win this next game, they'll be the first team to ever win 35 games in a single season, which is crazy impressive.
I think they might already be there. I think they might be at 35 right now.
Did they get to 35? I didn't know if they were there or they were one away.
I think they were 31-3 coming in.
But there's a lot to unpack there. This whole game, the press conference and after the press conference. I don't know if you guys saw this. I incorrectly said Bruce Weber was the coach of Kansas State, but it's Jerome Tang. Jerome Tang goes into the FAU locker room, gives them a really meaningful speech to the FAU players saying, hey, you guys are great. Don't let anyone think you can't beat it. You can win this whole thing. Really,
dude, he was so great. He was talking about like, the way they were playing, talking about how like the way they communicate on the court. He was like, he really seemed like a nice, genuine guy. But it was interesting that the cameras were in there.
There were a lot of cameras focused, and that hit Twitter really hard. And I wonder, do you think Sunshine, I'm going to pose this to you. Do you think he was authentic there, or he was trying to get a few eyeballs on him across Twitter?
Eyeballs. He was speaking directly to a camera.
No, he was not. He was not. The video. He was definitely talking to the players.
No. The camera's in his face. He knows
it's right. Rolling. It's right there. Right. The camera's right there, but he's talking to the players. He's definitely like eye contact players. He's trying to communicate. He's interacting with them.
You know what, Danny? You're absolutely right. And when actors don't speak to the camera, they're not acting either.
Okay. I'm just saying you made it sound like he was like talking directly into the camera when he was talking about it when it was not the case.
No. I mean, like, look, the guy knows how. Like, he's been in a press conference. He knows how to work it. He's looking all around. He's talking. He's using heads, but the camera is dead focused on him. It's almost like it's his cameraman filming it.
Honestly, I don't think that the camera had anything to do with why he was in there. I think he was trying to recruit those specific players that were in that locker room.
That actually is the most likely answer.
I'll take John Nell. He could come with me. That guy that guy's definitely coming. That giant Russian guy, I'll take him too. Yeah, we'll take them all.
I mean, the coach is gone. All those players are probably going to leave too. So,
well, that's a more interesting thing to unpack. But there's a weird part. So Kansas State, before every game, has been listening to this Little Baby song, and they do the hype up. And Jerome Tang, before that game, was doing this Little Baby, this dance that goes with it, a viral thing. As soon as Jerome Tang left, and this is really shitty on FAU, they started playing that Little Baby song in the FAU locker room and started doing the dance. And the internet was looking at it rather suspect. It's like, are you really celebrating with the same thing Kansas State does every pregame in the tournament that was going viral around the internet? It was a bad look. FAU has done themselves no favors.
Yeah, FAU is like they're like the heel.
They're
trolls. Yeah,
they've embraced it. I kind of like that. Though.
Yeah, hey man, they're the small dog. They gotta have a chip on their shoulder to win.
Yeah. The lamest thing in all of sports is having to play the whole sportsmanship charade. You know, like every kid I ever knew who was like, "Oh, good game," was totally full of shit. Like no one ever really believed that shit. They're always like, "Yeah, we'll just whoop their ass, fuck those bitches," and they're like, good game, bro. Good game. I hate it. Performative. Be a heel. Lean in.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I thought it was a real bad look. I thought the whole interaction was weird. Jerome Tang seems awesome. Like if my son was looking to play college basketball and he was a coach and he had a chance to play Kansas State, I like that guy. I do think he was authentic, but I also think he was playing both sides, where he was also trying to get some recruits or some people looking like, hey, this guy really cares about our kids. That's all. And then that was the special icing on top. But I'm still rooting for FAU. Let's go out.
So that brings me to my fun little part that I want to talk about. And it is the comments to the video. And there are unbelievably an amount of people that have said exactly what Matt just said. It's like, I wish my son would play for a coach like that. And there's been this guy who's after these has commented on those and is like, that's exactly what he's trying to do, right?
It's actually Matt's alt account.
It was just like, hey, this person was like, when I played 45 years ago, I wish I had a coach like that. And he's like, that's exactly what this guy wants. He's like, he wants those players. They want to play for a guy like that. You know, they also want to bump Little Baby, but you know,
shit slaps.
Just this isn't on our topics list, but since we're talking about FAU, you know, Dusty May, I'm pretty sure he's made more money in bonuses than he has salary this year because of his run in the tournament.
Oh,
where's he coaching next year?
So basically, he only makes like $400K a year. But I think he gets like $100,000 for making the tournament, and then $100,000 per win in the round or something like that. So he's made like $500,000 in bonuses, and he only makes $400,000 per year. So basically, he's gonna take this $500,000 and then be like, peace, because his buyout is less than his bonuses that he's gotten too. So some team can come in and buy him out for like basically his salary.
Yeah.
I got an idea. So I owe a chug for last week because on the last podcast I said if FAU somehow gets to the Final Four, I'll chug a beer. So I'm going to do that chug now. But I'm also going to make a future bet on Dusty May. I think I will bet a chug that he is the future head coach. Starting April 10th, he will be the head coach at Penn State University. He will be coaching the Penn State University Nittany Lions in basketball. Look, they're competing with Notre Dame. They have an opening. That's a real sexy, relatively sexy opening, but it's a perfect landing spot for this thing. A mid-tier Power 5 conference team, right? It's just not football. Penn State basketball doesn't matter. So I'm going to chug this beer now. I'm going to let you guys take over, but I'm going Penn State.
Wait. Why would you leave Boca to go to College Station? What's it? Is it called? What's the name of the town?
Money. He's going to make $5 more money.
Matt, those were letters. They're not reasons.
That's all of them. M is for money. O is, oh my God, that's a lot more money. N is no way. Holy shit, that's a lot of money. E is for everybody. Money, and Y is yes, more money. That's the 5 reasons.
Great reasons, man. Those are some great reasons.
Yeah, I mean, just think of the money he's going to make off of the biopic alone with Adam Devine playing him as the lead.
He does look kind of like Adam Devine.
He does look like Adam Devine.
A little bit.
Oh.
I've also seen Temple as like a team that needs a coach. There's a couple. Temple would be a fine spot. I wouldn't necessarily go from FAU to Temple.
Right.
Ideally, he could get the booster base and enough money to build FAU into a future Wichita State or Gonzaga. I just don't know if that'll come to fruition.
So, what if he like? Let's just say that he. Wait, is there actually more money elsewhere than Boca? I feel like Boca's really rich.
Not for the city, but that university. A lot of people support University of Miami and University of Florida in that town.
People support Boca, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that go to FAU, and a lot of alumni around here. The football stadium gets full, surprisingly.
Does it? I'll take your word.
I mean, I've been to games. It's not empty. Like I go to Canes games and I go to FAU games. It's about the same amount of people.
That's not full then.
But like, what if he didn't want to leave the great state of Florida? Where's he going?
Florida State would let
it wouldn't be Florida. They just hired a dude. I think they like him.
Well, he came from University of Florida. It would be actually interesting for him to go back there. He was coaching there for 3 years as the assistant coach and then went to FAU. So that would actually make a lot of sense. But
my thought was he's probably going to go to either SEC or the Big Ten, right? Those are like the conferences that are going to pay the best.
That TV money.
Opportunity, best TV money. So Penn State's a fun thought. Yeah, I don't know.
Does Penn State basketball coach pay $4 million a year? It seems like a lot of money for Penn State.
No, I bet you it pays 2.5. What was his base?
I bet he pays more than
400,000.
I bet you he gets $2 million.
Okay.
What did what's his face just get from Fairleigh Dickinson?
To go to Iona.
Coven Anderson.
We can find out. Is Iona public? No, it's private. I don't know if we're going to be able to find out private institution contacts, public or state knowledge, but
yeah.
Anyways, I like this. This is a fun conversation. Either way, let's go Owls. Let's win it all, or at least make the championship, guys. And I'm serious. Do you really want FAU to play Miami? Would that be a fun game to you, or would there be like unnecessary stress? Not you, Sunshine. I know you say yes, but
are you talking about the Battle of the Beach?
The battle of the long-touted battle of the beach.
My opinion, it doesn't really matter if it's FAU or San Diego State if Miami's in it. I think San Diego State has good defenders, and they're like very deep. But man, none of their guys look very athletic. They always look surprised when they get the ball. I'm like, like what do I do with it? But like, they're good. Whereas FAU, I think it would be a more entertaining game if FAU made it.
FAU's a very organized basketball team. They're very well. Like this dude's a good coach. The guy, like they feel like they're very well coached. San Diego State, also a very good basketball team. When I watch their games, I know they have a good defense because the numbers say they have a good defense and the other teams don't score a lot on them. I don't know how those guys put together a good defense, the 5 of them on the floor together. They just don't understand it. You know, usually you think long, really athletic guys jumping around the gym, blocking a lot of shots, and those guys just
they've got long guys that look strong, but they are like stiff. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. They do press. They do the full court. Get the guys through the shit. It's a weird.
I guess I'm a sucker for aesthetic, and San Diego State doesn't have the one I
I'm
want to watch.
not saying from the basketball aesthetic. I'm
like,
saying
which team do I think Miami would have a better chance beating?
Matt, you're confusing the Miami issues that we've had in the past with FIU. If this were FIU, I would definitely say I don't want to play them because that's a weird rivalry we have. I do not want to play FIU in anything ever because somehow they like get so up for that shit and then beat us. Like FAU, like we don't play them ever, and like I don't have like there's no history there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think shit out of FAU. I think San Diego State's a nightmare matchup. I mean, granted, you'll probably be fine. I think Miami is a favorite over either one of those two teams, but
I disagree. San Diego State, I think, will be favored over us.
I
think I'm with Matt.
If they are, I'm going to put a considerable bet on Miami on the money line. I love that bet.
I also like the idea of matching up with FAU because you get a bad day shooting from them, and it's a lot easier to win that game than the other way around.
I think the Miami FAU game will be pretty exciting. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think that total will be in the 150s. That San Diego State game, it's going to be like it's Iowa. They play Iowa football. It's going to be 7-6.
Coming this weekend, San Diego State versus University of Miami, Battle of the Coast.
I'd be worried about FAU getting Omer in foul trouble quickly and then getting screwed.
Do we have anything else we want to touch on?
Well, we want to talk about
madness.
I think we should probably take this time to compare Boca Raton to San Diego. I mean, outside of San Diego's wealth of craft beer over Boca Raton, I think they're kind of similar.
San Diego's
very pricey.
They're both great.
They're both great. Great places. The weather, fantastic.
I think San Diego has an edge on us in weather. It rains a little less, and it's a little.
I think also
mild
like culture. There's probably more in San Diego than
hell yeah.
Boca.
San Diego's got a lot more culture. Boca Raton has a culture, but
I mean, I can't afford Boca's culture. San Diego just allowed me to walk in.
It's a singular culture.
Just
very light and
we're diverse here in Boca.
That's funny.
My brother-in-law lives here.
I don't know what you mean. I don't live down there, so I don't know your brother-in-law. Like,
it's Nate.
No, I got that, but what does it mean?
Okay. Well, do we have any thoughts on before we talk about the upcoming games and any bets? That Connecticut's really good. That's it. Gonzaga got overwhelmed by Connecticut's size. All we're dropping is sexual innuendos, but yes, it was thick and went right in their ass. It was intimidating.
The Strother 3 from the logo to put the dagger in UCLA, that was quite entertaining.
Have they played a close game yet?
Connecticut.
No, UConn's beaten everyone by 15 plus. But I mean, is it that impressive to beat St. Mary's by 15, or is it more impressive to beat Houston by 14?
It's pretty impressive to beat Gonzaga by 28.
Or is it more impressive to beat Texas by 7?
It's pretty impressive to beat Gonzaga
by 28.
Yeah, it's Gonzaga. Yeah.
Gonzaga had that. Drew Timmy had the worst shooting day. That guy's usually money around the rim. He was missing bunnies left and right. He could not buy.
He put all his points in the previous matchup.
On that UCLA game, he was
35 up in that game.
He was real bad.
This is a little off topic, but before we move on from basketball, I just wanted to talk about like a quick tweet that I saw from somebody that was not from the United States, but was following along March Madness. And they were like, I'm currently watching Kansas versus Kansas. And they were like, and then like they obviously knew how it was pronounced because they were watching it, and they were like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all?
This one is Kansas. Why is this one not Arkansas?
Yeah, that was it. This one's Kansas. Why is this one not Arkansas?
That's a fair point. English. It's fucked up language.
It is. All right, you guys want to talk about the upcoming games?
Yeah, I forgot. This is a gambling podcast. Let's make some bets.
Yeah, we recapped all the games pretty well. There's one more thing I want to talk about, the University of Miami. Did you guys see that video? And I freaking hated that this was going around the internet. I forgot what player was sitting in his locker after the game for the University of Miami, and he hadn't gotten his text from his mom yet. He's like, my mom hasn't even texted me about the game yet. It was like 30 minutes after, and you could see he was like legitimately bummed. And then the internet just like exploded on this. And I was like, this is an awful thing. We're terrible.
Aww.
I was like, this guy just wants his mom to say,
no, shame the mom. The mom should have texted the second the buzzer hit.
What was that? Here, I'm going to find this video. But it's not that sad. The kid handles it in stride. But then you realize, I'm like, oh, yeah, you guys really aren't just kids. You're not like bros at all. You guys are just kids.
They're
like upset when their mom doesn't text them. It's gotta be interesting.
Yeah, they're 19. Do you remember what it was like to get sad when you were 19?
I hate going to Outkick for this, but where is this story? It was my mom ain't even texted me yet. Oh, it was Beverly at 8:11, nearly 45 minutes since the game went final. Beverly put his mom on blast. Whether he knew it or not, the March Madness social team caught him telling his teammates that his mother was yet to shoot him a text. Like, and like the video made me real sad. Like everyone was giving him like his flowers, saying, "Hey, you played great. Don't worry about that. I'm sure your mom, maybe there's bad signal and stuff." But it devastated me. Sorry, I don't know if you guys saw this story last night, but I hated that the internet just like feasted. The March Madness team should be ashamed of themselves. Like this is really not like a cool thing to put out on social media. I feel bad for the kid.
I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal.
The fact that he cared that much, obviously he has a good rapport with his mom. You know, I would assume he has a good enough rapport with his mom. It's not like, oh yeah, of course my mom didn't text me again, right? Like
it's not like he was sitting in the parking lot alone, already back in Miami, and she hadn't texted yet, or she didn't text him because she was like involved in, she got robbed in the alley and shot down for her pearl necklace or something. Like, It's not a big deal. That's funny though, I think.
I just felt bad. All right, so let's talk about the two games. What do you say? I
got some bets to put on them.
Sunshine, will you give me what's coming between FAU and San Diego State? Will you do the movie trailer again?
Coming this weekend, FAU versus San Diego State, the Battle of the Coast.
Thank you. Introduced properly. San Diego State is a 2-point favorite against FAU, which is FAU gets respect, man. They get respect on their numbers. That's a pretty low number.
It's down to 1.5. I'm laying the 1.5, and that'd be my bet of the week. San Diego State minus 1.5.
San Diego State.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. The total, there is a prop bet out there, and this is going to be a little iffier, but I kind of like it. It is both teams to score 60 plus. I kind of like the no at plus 115. I know it's a little dangerous, but I can see San Diego State making this game really sloppy. Golden is the differentiator there. If that giant Russian center gets the ball inside, I don't think it's going to be very easy for him. And I just don't think they're going to have those open shooting lanes that they've been enjoying the whole tournament. Kansas State's not a great defensive team, and they were lighting it up. I think this is going to be a much deeper challenge. I may think that's an interesting bet for some of that plus money, both teams to score 60.
Along those same lines, under 132.5 minus 105, or 131.5 minus 105. Great
Love
bet.
it.
Great bet. It's too many points.
I do. I agree with that one.
Wait,
You
you're
said
saying
under
they're going to be
131.5?
under 131.5?
I like that one.
How about juicy first half under 61?
That's not a bad number. 61's higher than I expect. I like that too.
Yeah. That could also look stupid and halfway through the half. But what first half under doesn't have that possibility?
But the thing is, San Diego State's not going to score a ton of points either. I don't expect them to just go out there and start scoring 80. Right? They're gonna score 65 points. Come hell or high water, they're gonna get 65 points. Doesn't matter how it goes, they're at 65.
So this past weekend, I bet the underdog in every game, right? And I only lost 2 bets, and they were UConn both times. But I mean, I kind of had a feeling that UConn, it was just the point of going with the plus money, you know?
You got to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to chase that plus.
You know, it was just throwing around money. But I got a feeling that I'm going to do it for this one too. And you know what? I'll do it small wager, but I'll take FAU and Miami in a parlay.
Oh, let's see what we'll get.
Both win. And I mean, I bet I can get some really good odds on that.
You would get plus 545.
Ooh, I like that.
That's not bad. That's not bad. You want to get spicy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has anything else. That game, I want FAU to win.
Over Miami. Over in the Miami game. Over 149.5.
149.5. Yeah. Connecticut has been averaging, we were talking about this before.
A billion.
83 points a game. They're getting 1990s NBA scores every game, right? 83, 84. They've been really freaking impressive.
The problem is they're into a really good offense, so they've been holding the other team to 40.
What's the first half over in that game? 70. Kind of like that too. Kind of like over 70. I put Connecticut on 40, and I think Sanogo is the difference here. I'm really excited to watch what Miami can do with just that giant monster in the middle. He is a true throwback center. He is large and he is thick, and he is not going to be easily bossed around. I do think Norchad Omier has played an advantage every game, so maybe his speed will be an advantage here also. I think Sanogo erases Omier a bit in this game, and that's what scares me the most for Miami. Have you seen this guy? He's a monster. He's huge. Sanogo?
Yeah, I've seen.
I don't know how Miami's going to do against a legitimate 5, but I think they've got long bodies that can combine, or they could always just go small, let that dude beast and just try and do their best on the perimeter to match pace. But I think I like UConn over 77.5 team total. That's the bet I think I'm going to make.
Over 77.5 is good. I like the overs on every denomination, right? I like the first half. I'm interested in the game. UConn over is a good one too. So
every single over you can find.
I do not love the 5.5. Even though UConn's been running roughshod on everyone, I don't have a feeling either way on that. I keep thinking Miami shouldn't cover and they win. So I'm not going to do it again. I'm just betting overs in Miami games, and it's been great.
So there's a few other basketball games happening. There's the NIT Final Fours tomorrow night. Wisconsin at North Texas and Utah Valley at UAB. I don't know if I have a play in those per se. But I do think those are going to be fun games to watch. So if you want a little something to watch on a Wednesday or Tuesday night, it's tough to beat that. The other couple games that are already set, but I don't think there's lines out yet, which is what I was just checking, is the women's Final Four has been set, and it is Iowa versus South Carolina and LSU versus Virginia Tech. And I think pretty much everyone had Virginia Tech making a deep run and South Carolina repeating. So I would probably consider parlaying those two together.
Iowa
Championship game.
took out Louisville, and that was a really good game to watch, man. Iowa they play fast, they could score a lot of points. But it was like the opposite of watching the Miami game, where like Miami women dragged the game into the mud against LSU, trying to keep it close, and we only scored like I think 45. They beat us like 55 to 45.
Yeah, I saw a screenshot from like most of the way through the third quarter or something, and it was like Miami has only scored 1 point this half. Pretty ugly.
Yeah, and we only scored 25 in the first half.
The two teams in that game, Miami LSU, combined to go 1 of 27 from 3-point range. It's pretty bad. But
it was a very defensive game.
Yeah. Or I think they used a different ball or something. I heard the LSU coach bitching about it. And that might have affected their shooting, but it was not as good a game to watch as most of the games I've watched were. But I do think South Carolina to win it all and Virginia Tech to beat LSU are a couple of bets I'll probably put together. See if we can make a little money on it. Did you guys have any other bets for the men's Final Four?
No.
Want to go round robin? Everyone's favorite bet. I'm going to go Miami, UConn over first half, 70.
San Diego State -1.5.
-1.5.
Okay.
Sonny, you're doing the parlay as your favorite bet? The South Florida parlay?
No. I mean, I'm doing that bet, but that's personal. It's personal. No, my favorite bet's the over in Miami, UConn. I think this game goes the distance.
Yeah, it's a toss-up for me between the first half over in Miami, UConn, and the first half under in San Diego State, FAU. So, I don't know. Pick one. Pick one if you need us to go bet, but I like both of those.
All right. You guys want to talk football? Football. So a little news dropped today on the old Twitter sphere. Lamar Jackson did a de facto goodbye to the city of Baltimore, right? And it's not surprising. I know Jim Harbaugh started doing stuff. I think, Danny, I don't know if you saw that about the trade news with Harbaugh's press conference, all that. I don't know if you want to give some backstory there.
Oh, it was just that so Jim Harbaugh was basically being interviewed at the GM meetings or whatever, and was kind of getting asked all these questions about like how's everything going with Lamar, and just giving the standard answer like, we're handling everything internally, everything's good with Lamar. Do you expect him to be the quarterback week 1? And he was like, yes, I do. And went through his whole coaching deal. And the same exact time that he was going through this interview, like, Lamar doesn't have an agent, so he just planned this shit himself. Like, it could not have gone better. He waited for this to be happening, and he starts sending out the tweets of saying that he requested a trade a month ago. Obviously, it didn't leak because he doesn't have an agent, and those are the fuckers who leak all the information. So he kept it quiet himself. He requested the trade a month ago. They didn't honor his request. And now he has to say goodbye, and he's saying goodbye to the fans and everything. It was a heartfelt goodbye to the fans. Wow. But the best part was that he timed this, and these goodbye tweets were coming out as the questions were being peppered to John Harbaugh. And oh man, it was just it was beauty. It was just a beautiful story to just watch him look like a fucking moron on TV.
Oh, They franchise tagged him, right? So he can't play anywhere without.
They did non-exclusive franchise, so
So
I think it's a
someone
first
can
and a
make an
third.
offer.
It's like a first and a
they've
third or
reserved the
something.
right to match.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, he's either playing for Baltimore or not playing for anyone, is what it sounds like. But I would think Baltimore would be forced to trade him if he holds out.
It's the second year they've franchised him in a row, so if he signs the tender, which he will, right? I believe they have to pay him like 120% of the top average of the top 5 quarterback salary this year, which will include Aaron Rodgers' $60 million cap hit.
It's I want to say a 20% raise or the average of the top 5, whichever is higher.
Right, but that's going to include Aaron Rodgers' 20% or $60 million.
Right, but I mean 20% more of what he made last year,
which was the average of the top 5.
Yeah, it might be more than actually averaging at the new top 5.
The average of this year's top 5 is going to include Aaron Rodgers' $60 million. Last year, it did not.
I mean, he's not getting $60 million this year.
But that's his cap hit. I think it's the average of the top 5 cap number for the year. It's not their cash payments because then it would include signing bonuses.
Okay.
On Twitter, I did see that Meek Mill texted Robert Kraft and said that that Lamar Jackson wants to play for New England. But Kraft responded, "That's Bill Belichick's decision."
I would love to hear one conversation between Meek Mill and Robert Kraft. I don't know how long that conversation could possibly be. I can't think of any two people that have less in common.
You know, like that game where you like bid on how many like words it would take you to like tell your partner a clue and have them get it, where like you're bidding down. I feel like we could play that game, and I don't think I'd go lower than 8. like that's max.
I'm wholly unqualified to talk about this scenario. Like, I don't know who Meek Mill is.
Robert Kraft's probably like, who's this Mike Mill guy who keeps writing me about him? He's just no idea who the hell he is.
Yeah, Malik Mill.
Does he play on the team?
But one interesting thing I keep seeing, and I'm glad we have our Falcons beat writer on here, Sunshine. A lot of people have been saying that the Falcons are heavily considering getting Lamar Jackson. And there's been a lot of response from the internet saying, well, we've got to give Desmond Ritter his time. I think that's ridiculous. But I'm not a Falcons fan, so I would love to bring the Falcons beat reporter Sunshine in on this.
All right. I feel like we've discussed this a little bit. And, you know, since now Lamar Jackson coming out and saying this, and it's a little bit more real, I guess if they can send Desmond Ritter somewhere nice, I'd love to have Lamar Jackson.
Why do you care? I don't understand why you guys care about him. Not saying he's not a great person.
Yeah, is it worth mortgaging the Falcons' future and Desmond Ritter to go out and get someone, an unproven entity like Lamar Jackson?
Hasn't he like led the NFL in touchdown passes twice?
He's got a couple
the exact opposite is what I'm saying. Yeah.
He's got a couple MVPs as well. Yeah. He's not bad.
Lamar Jackson. It should be like there's probably like 3 teams in the league who shouldn't immediately pursue Lamar Jackson.
Kansas City.
Hey, you want to know it?
Cincinnati. That's it. Ends list.
Yeah.
Buffalo
like, what are we talking here?
Buffalo might want to think about it.
No, they're like,
you know, it's funny to you know, like it feels like Lamar Jackson has been playing in the NFL forever, and then you look at his age.
I think he's younger than.
He just turned 26.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think he's younger than Hendon Hooker. You know?
He's younger than Stetson Bennett at this point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think he might be a little bit older than Stetson Bennett, but you know, like.
Literally, no. Stetson Bennett is like 28.
No, they graduated. I'm pretty sure we did this, and they graduated high school like the same year. They were like in the same recruiting class or something.
Okay, yeah. Stetson Bennett is 25, October 28th. Hendon Hooker.
You guys should draft Stetson Bennett and
25,
then
born
give
in
Stetson Bennett a
January.
chance and not get Lamar Jackson.
Okay, all right. So that no. So like that's the thing. It's like all right, making a play for like Lamar Jackson is a little bit different than everybody on our fucking Reddit that's going like you got people that are torn half and half. All these people are like go out and draft a quarterback. It's just like we just drafted a fucking quarterback.
Yeah.
You want us to draft another one?
Also,
he played 2 games.
Where are the Falcons picking?
Oh, 8.
8, yeah. So what quarterback are they getting at 8?
So the problem is that with
Okay.
these franchise tags, you have to give your first round pick, and like, so it's like I'm pretty sure you have to give like your first and your third, no matter where it is.
Okay.
So it's more likely for a team, and they just have to take it, right? So it's more likely for a team that's drafting late to sign him on the tag than a team that has a top 10 pick.
No, and I mean, like, all right, the Falcons, they could go out there and they could draft an edge. They could draft.
They could also negotiate a trade outside.
Yeah, they could do all that, or they can do what the Falcons do and go out and grab somebody that Jesus Christ, we don't even know who they are, and now nobody cares about them. You know.
I mean, if it were me, I mean, essentially the talk now is that there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks going in the top 5. There are essentially, Stroud, Young, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis are the top 4 quarterbacks in whichever order you want to put them in. But I think Levis is toward the bottom of those 4. So essentially, you're looking at getting another Desmond Ritter type, maybe a little bit better.
No. We're not drafting.
Is Anthony Richardson really going to go that high? Like he can't throw.
Which is so dumb to me. He's a 3rd round talent. I do not think he's any good at all.
But he can't throw.
It's great that he's got the perfect build, and he can throw it 80 yards. But
like somebody thinks that they're going to Josh Allen him. Somebody thinks they're going to Josh Allen him.
I can drive my truck 80 miles. If it doesn't stay on the road, am I a good driver?
Yes.
Wait, is the car still like running after that 80 miles when you're not on the road? Because that's pretty good driving. Right? Operate for 80 miles.
You know, actually,
I mean, trucks are designed to go off road, Al.
Honestly, you're probably a fine driver.
Okay. I do have support for maybe giving Desmond another shot. You know, like
okay.
Just keep in mind that Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round.
Let's go through Desmond Ritter stats. Why don't we?
Dude, you and I played this the other night drunk. Go for it.
I know.
Who did you compare him to?
Is he like year 2, 3?
No. We compared him to Trey Lance. Okay. He was a rookie last year. We compared him to Trey Lance.
I don't want to besmirch a guy who probably could have a good career. I don't know. Could he be better than Lamar Jackson?
No.
Chris,
could he be better than Tim Tebow? Could he be better than Tim Tebow?
No.
Maybe. Probably.
I don't know. Tim Tebow, he never got a fair shake, you know?
That's what everyone says about Tim Tebow. He didn't get any chances.
He never got enough chances.
At what particular?
At anything. He's always had to work very hard to get his opportunities. If Atlanta doesn't do it, I know Carolina just went and got the first pick. I'd trade that shit too. Be like, fuck it. Roll the dice. If I'm Tampa Bay, I'm like, fuck it. Roll the dice. Outside of New Orleans, who got
Tampa, that's a fun idea.
Why not?
Lamar and Tampa.
The NFC South is literally a Lamar Jackson away from winning the NFC South. That's all you need is Lamar Jackson wins the NFC South.
What about like Tennessee?
He would be perfect in Tennessee. I said this when we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think he would be great at in the Tennessee.
You did mention that, didn't you? Yeah, that's where I got it from. You mentioned it.
AFC South or NFC South. Pick a team. Throw a dart. Indianapolis, great. Houston, great. It doesn't matter. You can.
Do you really want to be stuck competing with the Jaguars for 10 years?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The cream of the AFC coming up here.
If I'm the Jaguars, I'm trading Trevor Lawrence for Lamar Jackson. Trevor Lawrence is fine. Lamar Jackson's fucking fine.
Trevor Lawrence is pretty good.
He's fine. He's good. He ain't Lamar Jackson special. And I get it.
But he's also brilliant. He overcame the worst history of his coach.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence. I don't think I would move Trevor Lawrence for Lamar Jackson. I don't think I'd even entertain it.
Look, I'm moving Tua for Lamar.
I would move Tua.
Yep.
I would love to have on my roster because concerned guys.
I think the Colts are one of like the leading candidates to make a move for him, and I feel like that just doesn't fit.
It seems really Indianapolis. The Colts always seem so boring. Lamar Jackson, I feel like he won't be moving as fast in that.
It would be like putting Lamar Jackson in jail.
It does seem like they're like
football prison.
Yeah, like isn't Phillip Rivers have another year of eligibility? Go get him. Don't bring Lamar Jackson to your boring.
Oh.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's gonna go to Indianapolis, and they're just gonna have him hand the ball off. That's gonna be the only thing he's gonna do. No passing, no running. We're gonna trade everything for you. Hand the ball off.
And if anyone's worried about giving up 2 picks for Lamar Jackson, I'm going to quote Les Snead's T-shirt when he was on the Super Bowl winning float for the LA Rams. Fuck them picks. Fuck them. Go get Lamar Jackson and trade the picks. You're gonna be like, look, it's worth.
Was that the Rams guy?
Yeah, the GM for the Rams. Fuck them picks on this T-shirt.
All right. Hey, look, I agree. And if we won a Super Bowl, I'd never say shit about it. But like, I'm just saying, it's like the luck of Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't want to finish that joke.
Who's gonna play receiver for you guys next year? You got Ridley back or no?
What? No, Calvin Ridley's with the Jaguars.
Jacksonville now. So who do you guys have at receiver? Pitts will be healthy.
So we have Pitts. We also have London and a couple of new guys that come out. And then we also have
Larry Bird.
Yeah, Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird. Yeah.
But here, all right. So, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Who's our awesome running back? Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
Right.
Cordell.
That guy, he goes on social media and just recruits everybody that's looking for a space. Right. He hasn't, as far as I'm aware, he hasn't recruited Lamar Jackson.
Maybe he only recruits people he thinks are below his level of talent.
No. I think that he's like he wants to win. He wants to win a Super Bowl.
Cell phone.
Can I twist this conversation just a little bit? And I hate the way I'm going to do this because it would bum me out. If you are the Jets ownership group and the Jets GM, do you still hold out for Aaron Rodgers, which like Aaron Rodgers is a supremely talented quarterback, but he's running at the end of his career, or you can go get Lamar Jackson for 5 or 6 years and hopefully he stays healthy? What would you guys do in that situation?
So they've already come out. They already came out and said that they're not in on Lamar and they're taking their time waiting for Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, I would call Lamar and be like, "What's up, dude?"
So Aaron Rodgers' contract is super weird. You know, he has that $6 thing if he stays with the Packers. Apparently, if they trade for him, like that cap hit kind of goes away, and it's only a $30 million cap hit for the Packers, and then whatever his salary is for the Jets.
I think they can like negotiate who takes how much of that. As part of the trade.
So Lamar Jackson would be a tougher contract to move. Is that what you're saying than Aaron Rodgers?
No, Lamar Jackson doesn't have a contract, so it'll be whatever contract they give him. So they can structure it however they want.
They would extend him for 5 years or whatever it is, and they'd have to give up picks.
But they have to give up like 2 big picks, and I think the Jets probably think that they can get Aaron Rodgers for like a 2nd-round pick, and the Packers keep saying like, nope.
Yeah. I think the Lamar Jackson situation is really interesting, and it's just the football we needed. Football never loses, right?
Do you think
March Madness is going? Who cares? Lamar Jackson talk.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Lamar could be doing serious damage to his earning potential if he for instance, gets hurt this year or holds out and essentially forces the Ravens to trade him? Do you think he's overestimating his value to such a degree that he's not going to get what he would have been able to get otherwise.
NFL contracts aren't guaranteed, so he would have gotten cut through whatever contract he signed anyway. So no.
I mean, that makes sense if you're like a backup tackle. It doesn't really make sense if you're like the best quarterback in the league.
So he's trying to get guaranteed money. So they offered him a big contract that didn't have any guaranteed money in it. So
I'm sure it had like some, but he wants a fully guaranteed contract like Deshaun Watson got. But
yeah, Cleveland ruined this for everybody.
I also think like he could just play out the contract and make all of the money. It's not like someone is going to structure his contract to put all the money in the last year and then cut him before then. But I guess that could happen. But
but he could also just do like LeBron. He could also just do like what LeBron James does and just like play a new contract every year and make more money every year because the market keeps going up for him.
I don't think that's as feasible in football. Is what I'm saying. I think you get
the salary cap keeps going up, so there's more money available.
Well,
now seems like I'm out on this guy, and now your price comes down because there's fewer people competing for you.
He got franchised, so he got franchised again. So he's either getting a 20% raise, which he wouldn't have gotten under the other contract, or the top. He's basically doing it. He's basically doing it.
No, but I mean, he could decide he doesn't want to play for Baltimore on a 1-year deal. So even though you're franchising me, I'm not going to play. I'm holding out. So you need to trade me, and then eventually.
The contract they offered him was basically 1-year deals. It was basically a series of 1-year deals that added up to this amount of money.
Isn't that what a contract is, Danny? A series of 1-year deals?
No, it's a 7-year deal. $100 million.
Yeah, which is technically a series of 7 1-year deals.
No, Al. Because if
1-year deals.
Because
they offered him a series of 1-year deals.
If I tear up on the 7-year contract that's fully guaranteed, they still have to pay the other $175 million. And under the contract, they wouldn't have do that. Under the current method, it's to raise the salary here, and he was able to do that under their contract.
Okay, well, what if he plays all 7 years, Danny?
Then he's going to make way more money his way of doing it now than he would have under the contract the Ravens offered him. Basically, what the Ravens offered him was the dumbest shit he could have done. Basically, what the Ravens offered him was the dumbest shit he could have done.
I'm just saying, say he gets hurt, and this is 2 years of him not playing games because he's hurt, and he's now 29 or 27 years old.
Then they would have cut him.
And
he wouldn't have had a contract anyway.
And then who's he going to sign with then? Who wants a guy at that point who's had 2 injury-plagued seasons,
then they would
negotiate with, won't sign anything long-term, and doesn't show you anything he can play long-term? I just think he might be overplaying his hand, is all I wanted to say.
Can we, I just want to put out some odds that I just found. This is for Lamar Jackson, which teams he's going to.
Let's hear him, buddy.
Ooh, I like to bet.
Plus 300.
Okay.
Patriots, plus 400. Lions, plus 600.
Ooh.
Falcons, plus 700. Commanders, plus 800. Titans, plus 900. Buccaneers, plus 1,000. Dolphins, plus 1,200. All of our teams are mentioned in that.
Let's go get a Lamar.
Let's stay with the Ravens.
It's not listed.
Off the board.
Off the board.
Anyways, I think this Lamar Jackson situation, I think you could see a precedent for an interesting case study of agencies versus non-agencies in the future, depending on how this plays out, right? I think agents, they do an incredible job. They also have their hands deep in these players' pockets. And I get Lamar doesn't trust agents to do what's in his best interest. They're going to do what's in their best interest. So I'm curious to see how this plays out and if players follow in suit, if it's successful or this.
You know what would be incredibly hilarious would be if he did the same thing as last year, basically, which is ball out and then just like basically once they make the playoffs, be like, oh, I'm hurt. I'm not playing anymore. And then they flake out in the playoffs again. And he's like, okay, let's do it again next year. You want to franchise me again?
Tyler Huntley for Pro Bowl again. 2 touchdowns and 2 interception season.
All right. So DraftKings actually has the Falcons as the front runner at plus 250.
That's the Falcons make perfect sense.
Yeah, I saw Falcons and Colts were the most likely. It's what I saw earlier today. But.
I mean, listen, maybe the Falcons take Lamar Jackson. And I was going to say we trade him to the Colts for Matt Ryan. We can get a good quarterback that way. But we're done. Matter of fact, hey, guys, be on the lookout. Maybe Matt Ryan announces his retirement tomorrow, 3/28.
Yeah. Wow.
I hope he does it.
Maybe he does it from England where it's 28-3.
Oh. That's
Oh, that would just best. That would just best.
Or he does it from Tom Brady's exact spot. He did it on the beach.
He does it next to Giselle.
Oh, real
All
winning.
right, we're an hour and 20.
If he really
here.
wants to hurt Tom Brady, he'll take us out to dinner and do it.
We've hit on
He's
March
sharing an
Madness.
Olive Garden meal with his kids.
When you hear your family and we kiss you like that. Yeah, so we knocked out March Madness. We talked some Lamar Jackson, free agency, NFL. The draft's only like a month away, so we should probably do some draft content next couple of weeks. But there is an important sport we are skipping or not mentioning and haven't, neglecting to this point, and that is the wonderful, the glorious Australian rules football. Ooh. You guys want to talk about Aussie rules at all, or?
Yeah, I just saw the table, and someone's really doing well percentage-wise, right? And it is those Sydney Swans, 2 wins, and they are winning every time a team scores 1 point, they score 2.32 points in comparison. They're blowing the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
The fuck out.
It's about as good a start to a season as you could hope.
Now, granted, they're not being the best teams, but you got to win the ones you win.
Literally, there are 5 teams that are undefeated, and 3 of them are North Melbourne, Essendon, and St. Kilda. Those teams are probably not going to remain that way for long, right? The other one being Collingwood, who is actually looks really good this year.
Really good.
They played a couple of tough teams and whooped their asses, and they were supposed to fall off this year. So I don't know. Doesn't look like that's happening.
Matt, confusing your footy and your football. It's ladder with footy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what's the ladder?
You gotta look at the ladder.
It's the ladder, the AFL ladder.
It's a ladder match.
It's amazing. It's weird to see Bulldogs seeing Western at the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. Brisbane only has 4 points. They're at the bottom. Fremantle, Geelong, last year's champion, is getting their percentage is 86%. When I said Sydney was 232%, is remarkable.
So watching Western's match, like Bailey Smith didn't really seem involved much. I don't know what he's usually dominating the midfield, like involved in every play, like on both sides of the field. Like I don't know what he didn't seem like had the energy he has. Maybe he just like
he seemed low on energy for sure. I saw that. He seemed like he was missing something.
Something he usually
couldn't tell what was wrong with him. Maybe all the pressure from those cocaine allegations got up to him when he's like, guys, I'm not using cocaine, I promise. It's like, well, I just eat powdered donuts a lot and I never clean my nose. Ever. No, I saw that he doesn't look the same, and he doesn't look as skinny, which is kind of a good thing, I guess.
He's always been super fit, takes really good care of his body. So I am surprised to like maybe he's like tried up a little bit. Was hurt a little bit last year. Maybe he's trying to bulk up a bit, but no, I was just really surprised to see like maybe his fitness just wasn't up. Maybe he didn't prepare enough for the season. It's just not like him. It's like him to see him to not be on the field the entire match.
Agreed. I only watched the Collingwood match this week, and I watched a bit of the Sydney match in replay. Yeah, dude, Collingwood's fucking good. Like, I know we were saying, I know Al was really on port to bounce back and Collingwood to fall out. I don't know, man. I mean, granted, it's only week 2 of the season, but holy shit, Collingwood looks like a wagon right now. They were killing him.
They play such like high pressure footy, and it's just so much fun to watch. Like every match, it's going to be like well, I guess neither of these have been nail biters, but
we'll see if they're really good when they play Richmond this week.
Some interesting matches though. St. Kilda Essendon, like that actually kind of matters early, and they're getting that primetime spot. I mean, granted, that really early, where if the dad hours before Premier League kicks off at 4:25 a.m. on Saturday.
The ones I watch, the games I watch. I used to do the late Friday ones. Now I'm the early Saturday and the early Friday ones.
You got the what do they call it? They call it like the game or something. Port Adelaide versus Adelaide. It's got some fun names. Some of these matchups have fun names. I don't know why I'm blanking on this one. It's like probably the biggest one. But that's always a really good match. So that should be a fun one. That's Saturday, super early Saturday morning. And then what else?
Melbourne, Sydney. I mean, just for a name, sexy value is a good matchup. I was actually curious how much tickets were running, not because I was going to go to Melbourne cricket grounds, but I just wanted to see, and it was impossible to get a ticket. They had like 8 tickets left in that giant stadium, and you had to have like a special code. It was dope. That game is going to be big time. And Melbourne hasn't played great so far.
I'm interested to see if these defense, because like the fact that in two games they haven't given up 100 points, like I'm just really impressed with the way Sydney's been playing, and that, I mean, the scoring has been there. That's kind of Sydney's thing. Right? We score points, but the defense has just been smothering. Melbourne, they score. They've been like kind of average so far this season. It's going to be a game that really like sees if Sydney like is really as good as they started this year. I mean, Papua so good.
So Port versus Adelaide is called the Showdown.
The Showdown.
Yeah. And then
at the Docklands? Is it at the Docklands this week? Oh, hell yeah.
And there's also the West Coast and Fremantle matchup. Those are the 2 West Coast teams. That's called the Western Derby. The Western Derby.
So I do think this looks like a good get-right spot by Geelong, right, against Gold Coast.
For sure.
Gold Coast had a decent year last year. Gold Coast had a decent year last year, but this looks like Geelong gets right this week in the early match on Sunday.
So Gold Coast has never made finals at all, and they were in the last week of the season or last 2 weeks they had a chance to get in and they didn't. So they're like hopeful to finally make finals footy this year, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, have you looked up any line in the North versus Hawthorn game?
Yeah, North Melbourne's favored by 10.5, or they were earlier when I looked.
I think they're going to cover that.
I kind of like
they've looked so strong. They've looked so strong. Like I watched the North game this week, and I was like surprised at just the way they just don't kangaroo it this year. They don't they don't just like the way they always do. So
yeah, that's one that I'm on. North minus 10.5. And then I took the over in the Collingwood match. Collingwood Richmond. It's up to 180.5. I got it at 178.5. And then the other couple bets I took Adelaide and the over in the Showdown. And so that's Adelaide plus 16.5 and over 170.5. And you could almost wait and live bet that one if you watch that game, because Adelaide is hitting like 40% on their kicks. They are not. They're losing these games because they're not kicking goals or hitting behinds.
Yeah. That usually averages out though.
Yeah, that's the thought, right? Is that they're going to hit some goals this week, and so
we usually can like games, and it's been a fairly strategy. It's just looking at a team by average scoring chances, and if one of the teams has been really accurate and the other team hasn't, just like betting the dog to come back.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the easiest strategy, right? If you have a live footy match on and you look at the score, and for those the uninitiated, the way the scoring works, you get 3 numbers per team. It's goals, behinds, and total. And goals count for 6 points, behinds count for 1, and then the total is adding those together. So if you see a score that's like 5, 10, 40 to 7, 1, 43, then you're going to want to probably bet on the team that's had 15 scoring chances versus the team that's had 8 or whatever it is. I don't remember the numbers I just said.
You got it right, bud.
Because they're more likely to get that they're getting more opportunities. They're just not kicking the ball straight. Once they figure it out, they're going to start scoring more points. So that's my favorite way to bet footy. So
me too, man.
You
described it. It's exactly what I. So you look at the goals, you go total scoring chances and say I expect these to I expect the accuracy to be about 50% on these by the end of the game, because it's usually about that. I mean, we've watched games where Adelaide just made all their goals the entire game and it didn't even out, right? So
yeah, but I think you come out ahead more times than you don't. I think it's probably more like a slightly more like a 55 or 60% to 45-40% goal to behind ratio. Typically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Any thoughts on Fremantle on laying the 12.5? I don't know if you have anything on that algorithm versus West Coast.
Yeah, so I actually had West Coast plus 12.5 marked as a play, and then I delved into like the numbers a little bit so basically I looked at by the numbers I would have gone off of last year, I'd be betting West Coast this game. But I'm trying to look into some of the more like possession and pressure rate stats to kind of scratch out some of those losers, try and up things. And so I think Fremantle has a defense that is capable of controlling West Coast, and they also are better at forcing turnovers. And West Coast is a little turnover prone, so that alone was the reason I kind of
stayed away.
Scrapped it, yeah. But I think I like West Coast, but we'll just see how it goes. I think once we get 4, 5, 6 matches under our belts here,
the numbers always get better later in the season. The numbers always get better later.
I'm surprised by the line being so close between Melbourne and Sydney. I didn't think Melbourne would be the favorite going into that. I know it's at MCG, but 4.5. That's a good match. Like of all the numbers, that's by far the closest. St Kilda and Essendon is also pretty close on the line. I don't know if you have a read on Melbourne, Sydney.
Yeah, that's funny. So you called out the 2 matches where I had plays that I ended up scratching. So Sydney plus 4.5 and West Coast plus 12.5 are the 2 I was thinking, and then I ended up scratching those. I think it's because Melbourne has been exceptionally inefficient inside 50. But they're defensively they've still been very efficient inside 50. So I think the fact that they're just a really good defense, they have a really high tackle rate, and I think they've also just played a couple of really good teams.
Yeah.
And then you look at who Sydney's played, and what they played, Hawthorn and Gold Coast, and it's like Melbourne's not. They're not Hawthorn, they're not Gold Coast. They're a much better squad. So I think I'd rather just like not have bet that one and be right than have bet it and be wrong.
I heard Max Gawn is not playing this week. Listening to the Footy broadcast, I'm sure that has to have some impact on the line, and that's probably everything that has to do with them being less efficient or like losing these tougher matchups, because I know he's key as the ruck.
And I think he tweaked his knee, and I think the fear was that he might have torn his ACL or something. I think he's avoided that, but it would have been like the 3rd one in like 5 years or something for him, something stupid. So good for him. That seems like he's avoided that. But they did also get what is his name, Brody Grundy, I think. They lost Luke Jackson, who went to Fremantle, who was like their other ruck. and they brought in Brody Grundy from Collingwood.
Yes.
So they've got someone to fill in that spot. Not that it's necessarily the same caliber of player or, emotionally, since Mac's gone as like the captain and their leader, right? But I'm not sure it's going to be as big a thing as it could be, especially against Sydney, who they got caveman, what's his name? Tom.
I can't.
Right now, I was trying to think of it before. It's
Yeah.
Tom's name though. Caveman.
Yeah, and he's pretty good, but I mean, I don't think Sydney's rough game is really like something to just sweat over.
I mean, Sydney's on the forwards, right? I heard Buddy's going to be back this game, which is great, but
Midfield. Yeah. That's game.
Yeah.
He's been really good, and Papley's been really good. They've been freaking good. So that's going to be a great match to watch. I wish it wasn't at 1:20. I wish it was at 10:30 on Friday instead of 1:20 a.m. on Saturday, but I'll probably try to sneak in the first half.
Oh, I'm definitely think that I'll watch the replay.
Anything else on the footy front? No?
Let's see. Anything fun that... So a couple of lines I thought were pretty accurate. That being the Western line, the Bulldogs, and the Collingwood line. I didn't really see any value there. But interestingly, a couple that I sort of like, but not enough to bet. GWS plus 11.5 and Gold Coast plus 16.5. Gold Coast playing Geelong and GWS at hosting Carlton. So those kind of surprised me when the numbers came in where they did. It's about a goal swing on those, which isn't a lot in this game. So I'm not going to bet them, but I'll be interested to see how those shake out.
Fair enough.
McDonald. You guys not
For Sydney?
I can hear you. You're coming in and out, buddy. Oh, I think we lost him.
Oh,
Did you lose me or lose Danny?
Nope. You're good, Matt.
Danny's gone.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to talk some swans. Poor guy. But yeah, Sydney's good, man. They move the ball well. They score the ball well. They pressure well. They're just small, and they aren't always great defensively. So
No, I know. They do lack on the back half.
They can really like destroy about 14 teams in the league, and then it's like 3 or 4 teams that always give them trouble. But,
all right. Anything else? Next week we'll go over soccer more. Next week is going to be banging. We got baseball starting. We got the Masters, and we got champions. The champions. And it's going to be awesome. We got a bunch of good matches right off the bat. Anything else before we conclude, boys?
all right, that's it. Did everyone chug their beers?
I chugged many beer. Many.
Oh, Danny wanted to mention that Ricardo Pepe scored for the U.S. against El Salvador tonight. And Sunshine called it, like he said, oh, Pepe's coming on. He's going to score. And like 3 seconds later, he scored.
Pepe looked good tonight. He looked fresh and spry without Greg Berhalter not putting him on the squad. It's weird. Maybe he's
Sunshine Stradamus.
Sunshine Stradamus. You know, what I thought was weird about watching the U.S. men's team tonight is it was interesting that Pulley is kind of now like, it seems like he's the seniority on the team. Like he's the old guy. It's just like,
For
what?
sure.
It was really interesting to watch that. But it made me excited to see the young talent that we have coming up behind him.
Any thought on Balogun? I don't know if anyone's been following that. I saw all the signs in the stadium as far as the U.S. trying to recruit Balogun to choose to play for the United States. Everyone says if that's the case, he'll probably be the best attacking player that the U.S. has ever had.
Yeah, like, is that going to happen? Because the last I'd seen was like a while ago, and it was that it seemed pretty likely. But then, I don't know, that Berhalter stuff happened and all that, so I don't know where they stand.
It seems like a coin flip right now. England feels good. I saw Southgate, the manager at England, was feeling pretty confident at his position in the English squad, but the boy was born in New York. Not like that matters, right? We have players that were born other places. I would love to have him here. We could use.
What would be the incentive to? Well, I guess once you make a decision, are you stuck with it, or can you bounce back and forth?
When you play your first cap internationally, you're stuck with it, right, Sonny?
God, that goes a little bit beyond me. No, because I feel like there's no, I think there is.
So, is there any reason he even needs to make a choice in the next 2 years?
No, he doesn't. But they probably want to get him in training and stuff and try to get him.
I would think 2 years is plenty of time to do that. So, we're 4 years out from the World Cup, so I wouldn't even be a thought in my mind right now. I would think the idea of playing for the U.S. men's team would be really exciting, especially with North America hosting the next World Cup. I think it's a great opportunity there, but also you don't know what that team's going to look like now, and you don't know if it's going to be a pain in the ass to train that team versus based on where he's playing currently versus doing it in England. So I don't know why he'd ever make a decision before 2025.
Yeah, I think they need to get him in the system. Not like the U.S. needs to qualify for the next World Cup, but you'd like to have him in the qualifying and make sure that he's comfortable with the team and they learn how to play together, especially be it Berhalter or Thierry Henry or whoever the hell is going to be managing that squad at that time. I think you want them to work as a unified,
Yeah.
So
that would be exciting.
FIFA rules say that in order for a player to switch nationalities, a player must not have played in a competitive fixture. That means he can only have played in friendlies for the first country, and FIFA approval is necessary.
Okay.
So,
So if he even plays in a friendly, then he needs FIFA's approval to switch. But
that's what it says.
if he plays, but if he actually plays in a competitive match, then he's fucked, or he's stuck. I guess I shouldn't say fucked.
With that being said, I honestly feel like I have seen in my time somebody play for two different nations, not America, but seen them play, and maybe it's the same name, the exact same looking guy. I don't know. That's possible.
Ronaldo. It's probably Ronaldo.
Yeah, but I feel like it may have been in the criteria that they were only playing in friendlies and not in the competitive fixtures.
Yeah,
not a cap, like a legit cap.
Yeah,
it's fun that you can't bounce around. I like that you're stuck with it for life.
I think Ricardo Pepe hated that before, considering he was left off the World Cup team. I wonder if that rule was different if he would have stayed with the United States team. But he capped, so. And he looked awesome tonight. Pulisic, we were talking about Pulisic looking older. He didn't look to necessarily score. He did have one opportunity at the end of the game that looked nice, and he leaned back on the shot a little bit. But I think Pulisic's looked really composed. I've been very pleased with every one of his games so far in this League of Nations or whatever the fuck it's called.
It is the League of Nations. I think he looked like a real leader out there.
I thought he did too.
He looked like Captain America.
Yeah.
McKinney looked composed. Back line looked really good. Tyler Adams not being there stinks, but he'll be back. Cap will be back.
Miles Robinson, he was back, baby.
He looked good.
Oh,
he definitely fouled that guy on that offsides. The guy that was in the box.
Thank God that was offsides.
That was a penalty.
That was a penalty. Yeah.
That's a penalty. I'm like, you're right. My son called the penalty.
Yeah. Nice. Must have been a very close call. Liam was able to spot it.
Yeah,
like,
was
clearly.
He's like, the ball's not near him, and he kicked him in the leg. I'm like, yeah, that's a penalty. But they
Yeah.
called the offsides, and
Had it not been offsides, that's a penalty kick.
that was a PK.
Oof.
All right, boys.
Cool.
We
Yeah.
say we
Well
wrap this
done. Another one in the books.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'll send us off, and I'll say goodbye to people.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week, and we'll do it again. Hopefully even better than this time. But this was great. Good job, everybody.
Goodbye, Joe. Good night, Joey. Good night, Cactus. Good night, Tyler. Andy's friend, Tyler. Good night, Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of sports to cover next week. Be ready. Once March Madness is over, we got a whole.
And
Cheers.
good night, Matt. That's my buddy Matt, but also you. And Sonny.
Me?
Yeah. Bye.